Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about purchase orders. Now this is actually a feature of our software, SnapSuite, but I wanted to talk about it specifically because there's some case studies around it, around that process that I wanted to kind of clarify and talk about how our system actually works with purchase orders. So stay tuned. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be talking about purchase orders today. So purchase orders, what are purchase orders? Just to get us all on the same page, purchase orders are essentially, you have a job and you're buying materials for that particular job in order to complete it. You might be buying parts, whether it's screws or, I don't know, a furnace or whatever it is that you're purchasing, and you need to create a purchase order to hand to your supplier who is going to be delivering that item, just to be clear. All right, so purchase orders are a really big deal with businesses, and I'm going to set up two different scenarios that we're seeing as sort of like common trends within the business altogether, and I just want to sort of clarify. So number one is we're seeing and these are loose terms. We don't have an official term for it, but this is number one. They would say dedicated purchase orders, right? D-I-C-A-T-E-D, dedicated, let's say PR rep. I'm just gonna, a PO rep, PO, right? All they're doing all day long is making purchases. That's it. That's their primary job, not necessarily every single thing they're doing, but there's so many jobs that are going on in multiple different regions that they just have one guy that's kind of dedicated to just orchestrating the purchasing, buying the materials and all that type of stuff. Okay, and then the second is, let's just say not necessarily a dedicated person. In this would maybe a contractor, T-R-A-C-T-O-R, or a tech, T-E-C-H, right? So a contractor or tech that is sort of running around and making the purchase. So let me just explain a little bit more in detail, and then I'll talk about our feature in itself and how does that work. So with the dedicated purchase order, it's very straightforward, okay? Guy sits in his office, right, on a chair with a computer, nice monitor and whatever, and all he's doing is essentially communicating with multiple different purchase suppliers, right, and sending out his POs with the items that he wants, right? And he's also, he might actually get up and go to the job sites himself, right, and just kind of double check with people and see what they want and see what's needed. So he has some knowledge of the project. This could even be a project manager, right? Somebody that's sort of very knowledgeable of the project, understand what needs to happen, and they're kind of just making purchases all day long related to those items to kind of move the project forward. And this process is fairly straightforward, right? In terms of feature, because this is more of a feature product video. In terms of a feature, he sits there, he goes into the work order that he needs, so he finds the WO, the work order that he needs basically, and on our system there's actually a button that says, create work PO, right? He does that will create the PO. He enters the line items, and then there's an automatic linkage, which is very important. There's an automatic linkage between the purchase order that he created and that PO, right? So the system keeps track of that. So now if he comes into the system and he wants to do a search, whenever he does that search, he could search for either the work order or he could search for the PO, and the system will find it. All right. If there's an admin person, let's say that the purchase order item was actually purchased, and then the supplier sends the details, for the payments. So the supplier sends their paperwork with that PO number. This admin person could then go do a search in the system for the PO number. They'll find it. So when this guy is sending out, once he creates the PO, he normally uses email to send it out. And in our system, that's 2 clicks essentially. One button creates the PO. Obviously, you have to add to the line items. Second button presses email, and that sends off an email with a pre-designed, pre-templated message, right? You're doing the same thing all day long, so why should you have to repaste the message, right? Or copy and paste the message? Time waster, right? So you preset a template in the system, you press the email button, the system puts in all the details, including, you know, the PO number in the subject, so that whenever the supplier is reading it, they could clearly see exactly which POs they're dealing with and so on, right? The point is to make his job more efficient, point your notes. And so that's scenario number one that we're seeing sort of a common theme about. And this is fairly straightforward. With the second one, it gets a little bit more messy, per se, right? And the way how we're seeing this is, you know, you got a job site. So let's just say this is, you know, pick a company of your choice, ABC, you know, insurance, okay? And let's just say that this is an HVAC company, and that you got a technician that is responsible for installing, let's say, a furnace. They're an HVAC company, they're installing a furnace, right? So what would happen in this particular case is the contractor or the technician, what they would be responsible for doing, since they're the one that's doing the work, and we're generally seeing this with smaller companies, but I don't know if that's a trend or whatever, but that's what we're seeing right now. And what they would do is they would basically send their PO guy, their technician, to, you know, go to the supplier. I'm going to put S here for supplier, right? And then make that purchase directly by themselves, right? So, you know, they go down to the store and they say, okay, you know what? I need a furnace. I need this. I need that, right? But there's a problem here. Because he is purchasing item, this technician is purchasing item for a job that he was assigned to. And if he just goes and buy these items without necessarily making that connection, the business that's sitting over here, right, they got a problem. Because now when he doesn't know what he's spending on which, right, there's confusion here in terms of connecting the dots. And this is how, you know, sometimes people don't bill for items that they purchase, right? Because so what companies are doing, or at least the procedure that they're doing, is basically you will kind of phone in, right, to somebody in the admin staff or somebody here, right? And then she would either use a system, and or in some companies that we're seeing, you know, they would use a book, go through, find the number that corresponds to the job, right? And then they would basically create a PO number, and then they would communicate that PO number to this particular person. Well, you can see where I'm going with this already. This is a hugely inefficient process, because now I'm on a job site. Okay, now I'm going down to the thing, which is fine. There's nothing wrong there. But now I'm here. I now have to call in, get this person to now stop what they're doing, okay, and go find my PO and go find my details so that I could get a number, so then I could purchase these items and put it on my sheet of paper, right? Let's just make this a paper, right? Put it on my sheet of paper, right? Hugely inefficient. So there's two simple features that we have in place to actually help with this process and just to make things. Number one is, the simplest of them all, is whenever this person needs a PO, right, still make the call in, say, hey, I need a PO, or still make the call in, and then this person uses our system, generates the PO as they normally would, and then there's a button that says send SMS or send text, right? So what he does is he sends, SMS stands for short message service, by the way, text message, right? Sends the PO number via text message so that he has it. Therefore, he could look at it and put that number on his document. So this kind of saves a little bit of time, right? But, you know, the idea is that the admin person in some cases knows that they need to create a PO, right? And what they do is they go in there quickly, create the PO, and then they press send SMS. That goes directly out to the technician, and then the technician could then write that on. Obviously, the number, there'll be some more details like which job he's dealing with in case he's getting multiple, right? So he could write it on his piece of paper. So that's one very simple process. But there's more. There's a little bit better way that we can do this. So the other approach, right, is this guy already has a smartphone, right? He already has a smartphone. So the question is, why does he have to call in here in order to, you know, ask, hey, can I get a PO number for my admin? Disrupts this admin flow. one of the biggest time wasters that you could have is just context switching. She's dedicated, she's doing something already, and now she has a context switch, meaning switch off from whatever she's doing to do the next person to do. So why can't he just send in a text and say, I need a PO into a system? So instead of sending the text into, you know, into her, send it into the system. So he would do something like new PO, N-E-W, P-O, right? And you send that into the system. Now, I know you're asking, I know you're thinking as well, what if he has multiple jobs that he's doing? Well, the system already knows what jobs he's doing, okay? So when he writes new PO, the system comes back and says, okay, I see that you have 5 jobs open that you're working on right now. Do you want a PO for job number 1 from, you know, Walmart? I'm just going to name companies here. Job number 2 from Costco. All right, right. It just asks you, and so he responds with 1. Okay. So now the system knows that I'm going to give you a PO number, but this PO will be attached to Walmart, right? And it does that. And by doing that, it makes a connection. So now he has his number. He could go fill out his paperwork, right? And he could continue doing his stuff. He didn't have to interrupt the admin staff, all right? So this is a feature that we're implementing, and we have some procedure. The other thing is that if this is by text message, by the way, there's no technical thing, there's no data plan here. It's just he's communicating purely by text message, and our system is smart enough to figure that stuff out and ask him the right questions so he could give the right answers, right? And obviously, if the system doesn't understand, the system will indicate that, and then it could go, you know, do it for it. Now, the other thing is, the other option is he could have the full app, which we have, a full app, and that app he could browse all of the jobs that he's currently working on, work order 1, 2, 3, go down, and then basically click create PO on the app itself, right? And then he doesn't have to do this, you know, two-way communication like to deal, right? So those are just 2 different ways that we're trying to address this issue with our features for purchase orders, because that's a really big deal, and a lot of people have been kind of confused with this. So I thought I'd just kind of like explain it this way to kind of show you how the system addresses those problems, and hopefully that's been informative and it kind of guides you and make you be aware of some of the features. Now I know some of you would have more questions about this, but if you do, then you know you can drop it in the comments or obviously shoot us an email and we'll answer them. All right, okay, thank you.